Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today's ceremony will begin momentarily. Please be seated. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Robert Garner, and I will be your narrator today. Welcome. During today's ceremony, Colonel Christopher Spinelli will assume command of the 932nd Medical Group. The presiding officer at today's ceremony is Colonel Glenn Collins, Commander, 932nd Airlift Wing. At this time, I ask that you please silence all cell phones and other communications devices for the duration of the ceremony. Please join me in welcoming our special guest, and please hold your applause until all guests are introduced. Colonel Spinelli's wife, Chris, and children Connor, Claire, and Colin. Colonel Spinelli's dad, Master Sergeant, retired, Paul Sloop. Colonel Spinelli's friends, Lieutenant Colonel, retired, Guy Venuti and his wife, Becky. Colonel Spinelli's friends, Mr. and Mrs. John and Dana Wall, Mr. and Mrs. Jason and Deb Johnson, and their son, Caleb. Also, Colonel Collins' mother, Joy Collins, sister Jackie Collins, and son, Glenn Collins. Distinguished military guests include the Vice Commander, 932nd Airlift Wing, Colonel Chad Beal and his wife, Stormy. The Vice Commander, 22nd Air Force, Colonel Kirk Matthews. The Command, Chief Master Sergeant, 932nd Airlift Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Barbara Gilmore. The Commander, 932nd Mission Support Group, Colonel Edward Hunn. The Commander, 932nd Operations Group, Lieutenant Colonel Dave Santarelli. The Commander, 932nd Maintenance Group, Lieutenant Colonel William McLeod. The Mobilization Assistant to the Director of Strategy, Plans, Requirements, and Programs, Headquarters, Air Mobility Command, Colonel Michael Cruff. The Commander, 375th Medical Group, Colonel Richard Woodruff, Jr. We also extend a warm welcome to the Band of Mid-America, all the dear family, friends, and military distinguished visitors who have joined us today. Ladies and gentlemen, the official party. Please stand and remain standing for the presentation and posting of colors by the 932nd Airlift Wing Honor Guard, singing of our national anthem performed by Mrs. Becky Wilson, and the invocation given by Chaplain Alan Haas.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the you there? Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order. Huh. Colors, man. Hunch.
If you would like, please pray with me. We ask your grace and wisdom upon Colonel Christopher Spinelli, who receives the guidon of command today. Be with him as he leads the 932nd Medical Group. We ask your blessings upon Colonel Spinelli's family and the 932nd Medical Group during this time of transition. Also be with the 932nd Air Wing as its dedication to the mission as our service to our country is faithfully fulfilled. Thank you for the privilege to serve. These things we pray in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Honor Guard, Mrs. Wilson, and Chaplain Haas. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The assumption of command is a military formation deeply rooted in history and tradition, dating back to the time of Frederick the Great of Prussia. In that period, military organizations developed flags with unique and specialized colors and designs. When the soldiers followed their leaders into battle, they kept sight of their flag. If the banner still waved after the conflict, it was a sign of victory. Having this position of great importance, that flag was incorporated into the ancient assumption of command ceremonies. The organizational banner was exchanged in public for all to see that he who holds the flag is the unchallenged and sovereign leader of the armies. The modern-day ceremony is principally symbolic, yet it still announces to all the authority of the incoming commander in the finest of military tradition. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'm pleased to introduce today's presiding official, Colonel Glenn Collins, Commander of the 932nd Airlift Wing.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for being here. I first want to start by thanking the Mid-American Band for being here and appreciate what you bring to the table and beautiful music. Also, Miss Wilson, what a great rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. Thanks for that. And to Chaplain Haas. What a great day. What a great privilege to stand up here. I look out and I see all these faces and all these people. And your presence here today really is a testament both to the tradition of an assumption of command, as it is also a testament to this man called Chris Spinelli that we're here also to honor. So to Chris, Colin, Claire, and Connor, this is a great day. This is your day too, and thanks for being here. That's our retired Paul and Alice Sloot. Thanks for being here too. We have also Guy, Lieutenant Colonel, retired Guy, and Becky Benuti. They here? There you go. And John and Dana Wall. They're here. So, and also, my mother happens to be here, as well as my sister and my son. And I bring that up only because, just to let you know, they didn't come to mine. And worse yet, they asked Chris, and Chris was gracious enough to say that they could come, but I got nervous because I thought, well, if COVID restrictions are more imposed and we have to restrict the number of people that can come, I think I know who's going to be on the outside looking in. So as I ascended this grand stage here, and some of you will know that that's an inside joke because we had another stage that was somewhat elevated, and so when we saw this stage, we kind of chuckled at that. So, but as I extended the stage here, it kind of dawned on me that as I walked forward, that this started off as a kind of a corny joke. You know, the one, have you heard the one about the lawyer and the doctor that went up on a stage? Yeah, I'll let you all fill in whatever punchlines you want. Or worse yet, for some reason I had this daunting thing in the back of my mind that was much like Thunderdome. It says two man enter, one man leave. And I got real nervous then because I figured out who was going to be at the losing end of that one. But it is a privilege to be here. It is a privilege to look out and see everyone out there. And to celebrate this assumption of command and really what it means both for the 932nd, what it means for the Air Force, and really what it means for our nation. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Chris. I'm going to talk a little bit about command. I'm going to talk a little bit about family. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Med Group. But I don't talk a lot, so I'll make it brief. People know I don't like to talk a lot. But I do want to spend some time talking about Chris and Chris's story, because his journey here is indeed a storied one. He's a medical doctor, but boy, don't stop there. You could, but there's a lot more. Chris started off enlisting in the Air National Guard, where he was a helicopter mechanic and crew chief on UH-18 Hueys, an aircraft near and dear to my heart because we both started out our flying careers on the same platform. Spent 6 years doing that. Then he went over to a biomedical and nuclear hazard engineering battalion where he became AoC, non-commissioned officer in charge. That tells me a lot. So Chris is what we call a Mustang, prior enlisted. And you'll see that play out in the way he acts and in his motivations and the way he leads. Because make no mistake, Chris Spinelli, before doctor, way above that is leader. After that, he received not one but two scholarship offers, both to the Army and to the Air Force. Fortunate for us, he chose the Air Force one. And he went off at the scholarship to get his bachelor's degree at Truman State. And then he went on to medical school. And that's where my concern starts. See, all along I thought that Chris had gone to one of those medical schools in some island in the Caribbean. Looking back now, that actually may be a better scenario. But he went to something called Still. At Still. I looked it up. Unfortunately, when I went online, I got that 404 error message. No such thing. Then I started getting nervous. So I defaulted, as I do, to Webster's Dictionary, 5th edition, and looked up still, not moving, without life. I then look at some of the synonyms below. Death. Got a little bit concerned. No. Chris went on to medical school, went on to active duty career with the Air Force in pediatrics, got out, became an IMA, and then was fortunate to join us, where he has served the last several years as the squadron commander for the medical squadron. About a year ago, something called COVID hit us in the pandemic. At the time, a year ago, there was a lot of unknowns. We look back now, and some of those unknowns have been filled in, not all of them. But at the time when we hit, we had a lot of things coming down. A lot of directives, a lot of policies, a lot of guidance from places like the CDC and from states and everything else. So there are what we call known unknowns and unknown unknowns that we were dealing with. What we as the leadership of the 932nd, including Colonel Spinelli, knew is that, one, we had to figure out ways in which to protect the force and socially distant. We also knew it was quite possible that we were going to be called to fight this different kind of war called the pandemic. And we had to make some very specific moves. Chris stood up right away. Chris was at the forefront. We knew the medical group was going to play a large role in this, and Chris was at the forefront from the beginning, and he asked to be there. He stepped up and led that group. Testament to both what he is and what we've asked him to be. The decision, after a year when he was acting group commander, when we finally had to advertise and pick, was a fairly easy one. When you look at his life of leadership that I discussed, you look at what he did for the group and for the wing during COVID, it's quite extraordinary. The choice was easy. To the family, I'm going to say this, and I can't say it enough. Thank you. Thank you for what you've done, and thank you for what you're going to do. And you have an idea of some of that. Let me fill in a little bit of that if I can. Command is a privilege. The journey of command is indeed quite a privilege. It's also fraught with a lot of angst, a lot of concern, and a lot of sleepless nights, especially for a guy like Chris who cares so much. The support you've given him allows him to do what he does here for us. And without you, we couldn't do what we do. So thank you for what you've done, and thank you for what you're going to do. When your dad's not with you and he's here, know that what he does for us is crucially important. That lives are at stake, and he saves lives. Your dad is and continues to be a hero. He is someone we all look up. If you look out in this audience and you look at all those people behind you, that's a testament to Colonel Chris Spinelli. To the medical group, we're all lucky to have a guy like Chris. I ask you to please take care of him. I already know he's taking care of you, and I know he'll continue to do so. I also want to take this time to recognize our leadership for being here, because again, that's a testament to this man here. I also want to personally thank the Vice Commander of the 22nd Air Force, Colonel Matthews, for being here. I want to thank the Mobilization Assistant to the A58, Colonel Mike Cruff, a friend and alumni of the 932nd. I want to thank my partners, Colonel Beal and his wife Stormy, and the Command Chief, and commanders that are here to help us and support us today. Colonel Hun, Colonel Spinelli, Colonel Cloud, thanks for being here. And thanks for some of your airmen out there being here too. It means a lot to me. And it means a lot to us. And it means a lot to the 932nd. Cherish things like today. They don't happen often. Chris, you have my utmost confidence. I look forward to your sage counsel that I've already received and will continue to receive. We are indeed partners in this venture, and I look forward to our many roads ahead. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Colonel Collins. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the publishing of the special orders.
Thanks.
Publish the order.
Attention to orders. Under the provisions of the Air Force Instruction 51-509, Special Order Number G-002, and by direction of the President, Colonel Christopher Spinelli is appointed Commander, 932nd Medical Group, Air Force Reserve Command, Scott Air Force Base, Illinois, effective 23rd day of February, 2021. Signed, Glenn Collins, Colonel, United States Air Force Reserve, Commander, 932nd Airlift Wing.
Center, face.
Sir, assume command.
Center, face.
Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the 932nd Medical Group, Colonel Christopher Spinelli.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks. Yeah, please take your seats. I appreciate it. I got a couple things to do real quick. Here we go. There you guys go. Oh, yeah, for you too, guy. There you go. There you go, boys. That's for you. For you. Thank you, guys. All right, thanks for everybody being here. I really appreciate it. Ooh. So, right now you're probably wondering why you're all sitting so far back, right? You might assume that it's actually from COVID restrictions, but really it's so you can see the majesty of this 3-inch stage that he was actually talking about. It's also actually to prevent, is that not working? Yeah, sorry. All right. It's also to prevent spontaneous mosh pit, which I'd have to do an obligatory stage dive from, so we're going to avoid that too. So. Thank you, Colonel Collins, actually, for giving me this opportunity to help out our folks. And thank you not just to the medical group, but to the 932nd Airlift Wing. And I'm going to blow out 2 ears. Is that better?
Turn off his mic.
All right, we'll see if this works. I don't really like long speeches, but you guys took time out and got all dressed up to come out here, so I figured I might say a couple of things. My kids will tell you that I rarely let an opportunity go to give them a life lesson when I feel they need one. So this is a good time. So, in that spirit, I'd like to blend two familiar concepts that actually I've kind of thought about in life, and then as a lesson to them, really, and a thank you to you all. The first concept really is that we're a combination of those that we surround ourselves with, right? I feel that's true. I've seen it happen numerous times throughout my life. I'd like to thank my fantastic wife for wanting to be around me for so long. She's amazingly kind, smart, and beautiful. She's taken up a lot of time and a lot of the slack for when I can't be there, whether it's for medicine or the military. She's always taken care of the kids and the house and everything, so that when we are together, I mean, it's great. I mean, it's homey and it's cozy and it's wonderful. So thank you so much. My kids are pretty awesome too. My oldest son and daughter are pretty stand-up people with some limitless potential. The youngest is just as solid and capable, if not a little bit more feisty. It's probably understandable having to put up with his older siblings, but they expose him to a lot of stuff earlier than he probably would have otherwise encountered them. So, but I'm very proud and very grateful of them too. So I'm happy to be surrounded by them. My dad is here. He's taught me so many things that I just couldn't even list them all. So thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. And they're my friends I've had actually for decades that are here, friends that I feel like I've had for decades, right? And finally, there are folks who I may not have spent 30 years with, but people I feel incredibly lucky just to have known and call friends as well. So if I'm a combination of the people that I'm surrounded with, then I count myself very fortunate, and I'm very grateful to you all. So that's the first concept. The second one is that we're never really able to accomplish anything on our own, right? It's invariably linked to the first concept. We may be able to, have breathe or run on our own, at least we think we can. But even those took some initial assistance when we first showed up, right? I mean, someone had to help us get that first breath or help us stand up because we were going to fall down. Most things depend on assistance and encouragement from other people at times in our life. It may seem like we climb that mountain on our own, but there's always some sort of Sherpa-like effort coming from somebody else to help us. So if I needed to rely on people to help me get through life, then I feel honored that it's really been you all that I have relied on and that have helped me get through life. So I wanted to thank you for that too. Whether it was when I was young and fairly stupid, I guess, or now when I'm older, simple phone conversations that people have had with me that have stuck with me, or people have literally pulled me out of the dirt. I'm super grateful for just all of it. Specific thank yous. I wanted to thank God, honestly, for the blessings in my life, my immediate family, my lifelong friends, and then my military family. I mean, you guys mean a lot to me. I think you know that. If you don't, you do. You just do it. It's hard to tell you thank you enough. Thank you, Colonel Cruff, for being a mentor and a friend, and a fellow Patriots fan when there were very few in the area, right? So that was nice. Thank you, Colonel Collins, for all your mentorship, our interesting discussions, mind-expanding conversations, I would say, and swapping of Army stories. I didn't get to fix your helicopter, but that might have been fun too. Maybe you wouldn't have wanted me to, I don't know. So, thank you, Colonel Beal, for your calm and steady presence. I mean, you just exude, honestly, a calmness and a steadiness that actually is fantastic for the Airlift Wing. It really actually is. It's made a huge difference in just everything that we do. Mike Maloney's not here, but I actually wanted to give a thank you to him too. He welcomed me into the group commander circle. He gave me some perspective, which was fantastic. I don't think I could have done nearly the stuff I did without Mike's mentorship and friendship. So thanks for him. Colonel Hun, thanks for all the after work talks, swapping Army stories and sharing some triple. That's fantastic. So thank you for that. I'd like to thank Lieutenant Colonel Morgan for just about everything. Where's she at, actually? Where is she? There she is. Like there. She does so much. I honestly don't have a clue how you get it all done. But we would certainly be in a whole lot more trouble without you around. So thank you for that. Colonel Behringer's not here, but for those of you that know him, I did want to say thank you to him. He is probably one of the most sincere men I've ever met. Whether he's mad at you or happy to see you, he's incredibly sincere. So if you know him, you know what I'm talking about. Thank you, Colonel Woodruff. I wanted to thank you for being my friend and actually for working with us in the 932nd. The command one time called us, Chief Cantwell and I, and said that the reserves and the active duty don't get along too well usually. And they said, you guys are sort of an anomaly. And that's because folks like you work with us. So I appreciate that greatly. So thank you so much. I did want to thank Colonel McLeod and Colonel Santarelli for this wonderful hangar and that plane. That is a great plane. I love flying on that plane. So thank you guys so much for that. I appreciate that. I'd like to thank Miss Wilson for the singing of the national anthem. Singing anything in this hangar is hard, and you did a phenomenal job. I always get goosebumps when I hear that song, and certainly you didn't disappoint today. It was phenomenal, so thank you so much for that. Chief Irby and Cantwell, we've had so many discussions just about life in general, about the medical group, the medical squadrons. I don't think everybody realizes how much they actually do for them in the medical group, and then throughout the wing, so thank you for all of that. And thank you for working with our enlisted folks. I love the enlisted folks. I was an enlisted folk myself, right? So just thanks for all of that stuff. Chief Gilmore, thanks for always recognizing what the medical group can actually do. I appreciate your championing us when we need it and then just supporting us when we need your support. So thank you, and I'm 1000% glad you're here with us. So thank you for that. I do want to thank Colonel Derry and Captain Watkins for their team putting all this together. This is an effort. It's a pretty big effort. It might seem like we just walk up and do all this stuff, but it takes a lot of planning. So, Senior Master Sergeant Batts for all the refreshments we will soon be enjoying. She can actually do magic. The kitchen's back there. She can do magic in that plane. It really is phenomenal, and you'll get to experience some of that too. So, thank you for that. And then I wanted to thank all our senior and junior enlisted. The real work of pretty much any unit gets done by the enlisted force. We have these ceremonies and we run around and do that stuff, but it really is the enlisted force that does the majority of the work and gets all the stuff done. So we really couldn't do it without you, so thank you so very much for deciding to come here, deciding to join the military and do the things that you do. You may not get sometimes all the recognition that it seems like you deserve, but we all totally know that you deserve it. So thank you for that. And just all the 932nd members, and especially the medical group for being with me on this and just being supportive. I mean, I greatly appreciate it. They kind of gave me sort of a weapon the other day. It was like a big axe kind of thing. It was kind of neat, so I appreciate that too. So I spent so much time with so many of you that it feels like home, but a very large family, but I wouldn't really have it any other way. So they don't make TV shows out of medical people for no reason. So there's going to be some drama. You're just going to have to get over that. But we'll try and manage the drama a little bit and see how that goes. So really, to my children, to sort of bring this back around, the lesson I'm trying to get at is to surround yourself with good, solid people, as they'll be the ones you rely on actually in your life, right? But on the other side, you need to be that reliable person to the other people as well. And if you still need examples of what I'm talking about, honestly, just look around you, right? You'll see exactly what I mean. If you just take a look at all these people in here, that's the best example I can probably give you. So I want to thank you all again. And now before we leave and head out of this hangar, if you'll do me a favor and make my Italian grandmother proud, please don't leave any food on that table before you walk out of the hangar. She would be sad. So please don't make her sad. So I appreciate it, and thank you all so much.
Thank you, Colonel Spinelli. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the men and women of the 932nd Medical Group, we welcome Colonel Spinelli, his wife, and family as he assumes his new duties as commander of the 932nd Medical Group. We would also like to extend our appreciation to Colonel Collins for presiding over today's ceremony. Thank you to all of those who joined us today and to those who made today's ceremony possible. Thank you to the United States Air Force Band of Mid-America for the pre- and post-ceremony music. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remain standing for the playing of the Air Force song by the Band of Mid-America and the departure of the official party and special guests. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Please join us for a receiving line and reception located behind the C-40 static display. Thank you for coming and have a great Air Force Day.